Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. We'll just wait for a few more seconds before we get started. Awesome. So, again, hi everyone, I'm Snehal, co founder and CEO of Outdo. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll be discussing how AI Roleplays is transforming sales coaching, how you can use voice agents to ramp up your teams faster, to increase your win rates, and basically achieve your revenue goals faster. Right? So let's get started. So last month I was at Dreamforce, a fantastic conference. We had an amazing experience. I had an opportunity to meet a lot of sales leaders, and a lot of them resonated with this thing, right? So over the last 2 years, the sales cycles have essentially got elongated, right? In fact, the recent Gartner report now says that the sales cycle has increased by 50%, right? So enterprise sales has never been so complex. And it's not the market which is the big issue over here, or the tough buyers out there, right? A lot of sales leaders actually point out that it's the sales readiness, the skill gaps that are there with the sales teams, that is like one of the biggest obstacles in actually achieving faster ramp up, in closing deals faster, increasing win rates, and so on. And how does this impact your organization? So the sales leaders, the sales managers have never been more busier, yet only 40% of the sales team is actually reaching their quota. Now this number should definitely be way higher, right? It should be around 70% or so. So what is actually causing this issue, right? The main issue for the skill gap essentially is that the traditional coaching in its current form, it's broken, right? So the managers are getting busier and busier every day, right? In fact, the managers are right now handling 50% more tasks than what they were actually doing last year, correct? And they are not getting the right time to give feedback, right? The feedback is essentially getting delayed, right? And because of which, a lot of sales reps and sellers are essentially feeling that they are not getting the right coaching. In fact, only 40% of them say that the coaching is not proper, right? And it should be, they require like more sort of personalized coaching as they go forward, correct? So the current form of coaching is more of classroom coaching, or it is peer-led coaching, right? Where you are sharing the training material essentially over Google Drive or over YouTube, where they're just viewing the content and not interacting with it, correct? The sellers, they want like more sort of personalized coaching. In fact, it's every hour of personalized coaching improves the chances of their successful performance by 17%, right? And basically whenever you do boot camp sessions, or just very traditional form of classroom training, right, a lot of learning is essentially forgotten in a month's time. In fact, 80% of the tactics, the way to handle objections, essentially gets forgotten in a month's time, right? And whatever older behaviors were there or older habits were there, they relapse. Now, this is where AI role plays comes in. This is where AI agents come in. So think of it like, earlier there was more of point in time sort of learning, where everyone was invited to a classroom and then was given a lot of lessons. But now imagine if you could create AI twins of your buyers, and your sellers can practice anytime. They can practice in the evening, morning, whenever they find time, and they get instant feedback. They get instant feedback. They don't have to wait a week to practice with the managers and so on. right? And this training modules are very dynamic in nature. So it understands, how the seller is actually performing in the calls. It looks at your revenue intelligence, it looks at your CRM data, right? And then it analyzes and creates unique role play scenarios for you. It creates unique role play situations for you, right? And then it gives you very pinpointed feedback on how you can handle the objections better, how you can close better, how you can improve your discovery or use market insight to improve yourself, right? So what we are essentially looking at is not just a point in time sort of a coaching, but a continuous upskilling, right? Let's look at a simple sort of a framework which can work for us, which you can implement right away, right? So when a manager, when they hire, or when a new person joins the team, right, you can just do a one-on-one role play and then identify a set of skills, right? It could be two or three skills at max that you want to work on. Based on that, you create two or three role play agents and you ask the seller to basically work on it over a week's time and collect a lot of feedback on it, right? Based on the feedback, you give or suggest certain training materials. It could be, some sort of call drills that you can set up. It could be some guides, right? It could be some coaching material that would help the person, right? Eventually, you repeat this and you analyze the skills from the role plays, from the learnings, and then basically repeat this on, let's say, fortnightly basis to ensure that there is a behavior change. So this is what we call a loop or continuous coaching at scale, right? Now just imagine you're your best sports person, right? Be it LeBron James, be it Rafael Nadal, right? They don't just practice on the game day, right? So they practice wherever they find time. They practice daily. They practice weekly, right? So I believe sales is also a bit like that, right? You also want to improve yourself. You want to learn new things, and you want to maintain that baseline performance, right? So you can actually set up call drills, which are essentially short, rapid programs. In fact, one of the leader whom I mentioned, right, at earlier at Dreamforce, he used to do like a morning kickoff drill. So before the seller starts the day, every morning for 10 to 15 minutes, they would practice, get their tongue rolling, get basically into the flow, so that when they actually dial their first call, they are ready to actually make the day, right? So just summarizing, right? Why do we need AI role plays? We want to, of course, achieve faster ramp up. We want to improve our win rates. The buyers are evolving and we need to adapt quickly, right? So the traditional form of sales coaching doesn't work there. And lastly, we want to work with data, right? We want to personalize the coaching. We want to identify the strengths and weaknesses of every seller out there. We want to see how we can use data to create very personalized role play agents, very personalized micro learning agents, very personalized call drills to improve themselves, right? And I'll take this opportunity to just introduce what we have been doing at Outdo. So we have been working with over 160 customers. We have been working with some companies in the healthcare sector, Cure, Allied Health, whom we have helped actually to ramp up quite faster. We have been working with like established coaching agencies like Rain Group. We have been working with some of the insurance companies like Provide Sure. Um, we have been working with some tech companies, Replicate, Standard Fusion, uh, Hacker Earth, and so on, right? So we have been helping these companies to improve their win rates, ramp up their team faster, and achieve their revenue goals quicker, right? So let's discuss few capabilities, right, which a good role play software should have, right? So the first thing is the ability to create AI twins of your buyers, right, or your customers, and then create it for different scenarios, right? For example, at Outdo, there are like four ways using which you can create this AI twins. You can upload an existing call, right? You can just connect your revenue intelligence tool. Let's say if you're using Gong, you can just pull in the recording and then you can just in one click create AI twin of that buyer, right? So this gives you very realistic sort of buyers and not some hypothetical buyers, but realistic buyers, the objections which they raise, the scenarios in which they were actually taking the call and so on, right? And you can then create custom twins, or you can create custom scenarios. You can create variations, based on different stages, based on, so for example, if you created a buyer for a discovery stage, you can create a variation for the same buyer in the pricing stage, right? You can create gatekeeper sort of scenarios where the call was essentially picked up by let's say a secretary, and then you have to convince that person to actually hand it over to the actual buyer, right? Now coming to the second most important part, which is the AI coaching. So just creating a role play agent is not the solution. It has to be supplemented with instant feedback, right, around the role play. So it should basically tell whether you handled the objection correctly, what was the tone in which you actually spoke, whether you had a very long monologue, whether you were able to communicate the value in the given time, or you were just going all over the place, right? So you need a sort of AI coaching or scorecard or rubric in place, essentially to guide and give instant feedback to the seller so that they can try the role play again and again and improve themselves, right? So role plays essentially are like safe space where we also encourage a seller to actually try it out, try out different scenarios, different tactics, make mistakes, get feedback and improve themselves, right? One very interesting part is the micro learning, right? I would also supplement that with just in time learning, right? Just imagine you have been doing few calls in the real world and you got some feedback, right? So immediately along with that feedback, you get the option to try out a role play agents based on that specific learning, right? So for example, if I'm not good at, let's say, negotiating pricing, I get a quick sort of a role play agent created, which actually helps me to just practice that part, right? Of how do I communicate the value, how do I tell the price, whether I should tell the price in the beginning or in between or later on after I communicate the value and so on, right? So this is what just in time learning or micro learning essentially is. So you focus on specific skill gap. It could be a specific sales related skill gap or a product related skill gap that you can work on, and then you can create courses out of these role play agents and micro learning agents, right? You can also export these courses into SCOM and put it into the LMS that you're using, right? So that becomes more like a seamless experience for your team. So they don't have to jump between platforms. All your learning stays in the LMS. The scores are updated automatically in the LMS, and the performance is essentially tracked in the LMS, right? Now the final bit is the advantage of a AI tool and a tool like Outdo is that you can not just practice the voice agent part of it, but also the chat and video part, and do it anywhere, right? So it should have a mobile app where your seller can practice it when they are driving to work, right? They can practice whenever they find time, right? And you should be able to create very realistic scenarios, maybe add some background noise, make it very I would say hyper realistic, so that the sellers can be confident in all situations. They need not worry about what if the buyer is sitting in a cafe and there's background noise and I shouldn't get distracted, right? So again, summarizing a bit over here and also comparing, like, there are traditional role play tools, of course. AI role plays are way better when it comes to doing, one-on-one role plays, since it saves managers time, the sellers get instant feedback. But you need a very modern sort of a role play solution which has the ability to do multi-mode sort of role plays, whether it is voice, video, chat. Your team should be able to do role plays on the go. You should be able to integrate the role plays with your LMS or your learning experience tool. And lastly, it should be very secure, right? It should have the enterprise grade security features, SOC 2 compliance, ensure that the data is completely secure. You don't discuss any, or the data is basically scrubbed off any PII data, and so on, right? Finally, I would just like to discuss one of the customer stories, right? So we have been working with healthcare companies, and Allied Health is one of them, and we helped Samantha and team to actually cut down their ramp up time by 66%, right? So I'll just discuss on the few sort of use cases that we have generally come across. In enterprise tech, it has essentially been a lot around ramp up, but specifically related to product and tech related queries, right? With insurance companies, where there's a lot of hiring happening, you need to quickly ensure that the team is ready with all the compliance related queries which keep on changing, which are dynamic in nature as well. You can create role play agents, you can create micro learning agents. And finally, it's not just the online world or the phone world that uses role play, even in offline situations, right? Whether it's real estate or whether it is retail, you want your team to be confident, you want your team to be ready to communicate the value. So in real estate, a lot of agents, a lot of relationship building agents, or I would say renewal agents, they have been using a software to basically do the selling, the upselling, and also renewing contracts, right? Finally, just want to summarize that sellers who get very clear guidance, who get continuous guidance, which is powered by AI, could actually help them improve their capability to reach quota by 3x. Here's what we have, a really good action plan for all the sales and enablement leaders out there. So the coming Monday, right, or whenever you start your AI role play journey, the first thing you could probably do is identify a few set of skills that you would like to work on with your team. Communicate with your team and create a very healthy environment that this is not for performance scoring, but essentially for practicing, for learning, right? So create a very safe environment. Over the next 3 months, you could roll out 2 or 3 role plays, right? 2 or 3 role play agents for your team to practice, right? Just see they are motivated. You encourage them to try it out. You encourage them to try it out again and again, and try to ensure and see their how many of them are completing those role plays and collect feedback from them. Over the next 12 months, once we have had like a good understanding of how AI role plays are helping your team is experimenting new things, you can create a proper program and roll it out, right? You can also see the sort of ROI that you are getting from role play. You can check your ramp up times and win rates, how they are improving, see if there are any adjustments that need to be made, right? And a very important thing, you need to basically align it with your enablement initiatives, right? So it could be, you're rolling out a new program, a new pricing plan, new product features. So create, role play scenarios around that, create role play agents around that, and create micro learning courses around that for your team, right? So that's it for this webinar. Again, thanks everyone for joining in. You could reach out to us anytime. And if you want a quick demo, you could actually go to www.outdo.ai and book a demo with us. Again, thank you.